Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got a rather interesting combination of shell and choke to run. These shells have shown us some nasty results several times, but they have also been a little bit particular about what choke they like and how well they perform through different chokes. And the choke combo that we're running them in today is something a little bit out there in left field, but has already shown us quite a bit of promise actually, and is a surprisingly tight constriction for what it is. So maybe this combo might work out nicely, or it could be a little bit of a disappointment. I really don't know what we're going to get. It's one of those where we're just going to have to try it and see what happens. So first up, for the shells we're running, I brought out some more of the Epic TSS turkey loads. These ones are the 28 gauge, 2 3/4 inch, 1 1/4 ounce payload of TSS 9s at about 1,050 feet per second, and they are part of their Extreme Pattern lineup as well. And we've tested these shells several different times so far on the channel. We've seen pretty much right down the middle. We've ran them through all 4 different chokes I've got for my 28 gauge. We saw 2 great patterns from the Pattern Master and Indian Creek chokes, and 2 that were okay, but nowhere near as capable as what we know they can get from the Carlsons and Trulock chokes. So these absolutely do have potential, but I don't know what they're going to do through today's particular choke. But as for the setup we're running, I brought out my Tristar Viper 28 gauge. It's got a 28 inch barrel on it, and we're going to be running this choke, which is the stock flush regular old full choke. This is the factory full choke that came with this gun, and you might be thinking, well, that's probably not enough to really make a TSS load perform like you would expect it to anyway. Well, surprisingly enough, this regular old flush full choke measures to a 517 constriction. That is right dead in the middle of the typical turkey choke range for a 28 gauge, 515 and 520 being the most common 2 constrictions. So it is pretty tight for a regular old full choke. We've tested this with, I believe it was some Winchester Longbeard TSS, and it actually gave us a pretty nice looking pattern out to 40 yards. So with these Epic shells being as good as they potentially can be, and part of their Extreme Pattern line, will this actually work out or not? The 28 gauge is usually always a pretty nice patterning gauge or gun in of itself, so it could be a pretty wild idea that actually works out nicely. So we'll see what we can get. So as for our test today, we're running it the same as we usually do. I've got the turkey target at 40 yards and the chrono to get the velocity. So will my flush full choke actually work out with these Epic shells also? Considering what we've already seen from it, I think there's a really good possibility of it happening, but will the Epic shells actually like the full choke or not? We have the right constriction range for it, being a 517, but it's a flush choke. They're very short in length. So will that short of a choke blow our pattern out some? I really don't know yet, so let's take our shot and see what happens, because it may very well surprise us. Okay, that shell gave us 1139 through the chrono. We have a boss claim of 1050, so we are a little bit over it, but bouncing right around the 1100 mark or so has been pretty typical with these shells so far. But did we actually get a good pattern out to 40 yards with just a regular flush full choke? Let's go check it out and see if we were surprised or not. Okay, well, here we are down at our 40-yard paper, and it definitely did not turn out as well as what I kind of hoped it might. But on the other hand, it's probably not terribly unsurprising either in the grand scheme of things. Now, do we have a dead bird here at 40? Yes, we do. There is one through the bottom of the brain and a number more down the spine that would have done the job. So it is still a 40-yard capable pattern, but you can also see just how broad and splotchy it is kind of all over the place. We covered most of the entire paper there with pellets. We definitely have a little bit of a hotter zone just off the back side of his neck there on the turkey target, with some bigger thin areas and voids right out in front of that bird along the left edge of that turkey target. And of course, we scattered stuff all over the rest of the paper here from top to bottom. All 4 corners have something in it. So definitely not anything I would call impressive for sure. Now, is that on the shells? No, we know what they can really do. If you put them through the right choke combo, they are nasty performers. Epic does a lot of their testing and development stuff with Indian Creek chokes. We've tried them through the Indian Creek 520, and they are absolutely nasty. So even though we have the constriction here with these being a 517, it's a flush choke. It doesn't have any kind of steps or porting or nothing like that in there, and it's a very short choke as well. So your your shot column is being constricted down pretty quick right at the end of the barrel. It's not a massive difference over a slightly extended choke, but it can absolutely make a difference in your pattern, because even when we tested our Carlson's 520 and our TrueLock 515 with these shells, and they weren't overly impressive for patterns either, those were still both way better than what we got here. So these shells and this choke simply did not work out. We know what they can do. This is not it. And even then, this Flush 517 gave us way better results than this with the Winchester Longbeard TSS as well. So those shells definitely performed better through it. Overall, just a mix of things that didn't really work out, but had potential, so we had to try it. So unfortunately, maybe nothing really too special to see as far as this pattern goes, but we will pull the turkey target down. I will finish drawing circles and counting pellets, and we'll see what the pattern really looks like, because it can be a little deceiving with the turkey target there, but I think we're still going to run into a pretty thin core with some noticeable voids in there as well. Okay, so here we have our target without the turkey paper up there, and we can still kind of see what we were looking at earlier. If we give it the benefit of the doubt and actually put our big circles where our hottest portion of the pattern actually is, that gives us an okay core area, although it's definitely not overly tight or overly hot. We've seen tremendously better from these shells, no question about it. But within our 10-inch core circle, we have 119 pellets, decently even spread within there as well. Certainly good enough for a 40-yard turkey hunt if we just had that to work with. 119 pellets is certainly going to do the job just fine. Outside of that, with our 20-inch leeway ring, we pick up an additional 115 pellets, and you can definitely start to see where our voids come into play. Pretty thin at the bottom left down there, pretty thin over here to the top and to the right as well. And of course, the farther we go outside of our circles, the more splotchy and stringy we get kind of all over the rest of the paper here. Overall, I mean, we have the constriction, even though it's marked as a full choke. Technically, it is probably more of an extra full choke in the grand scheme of things. So we had potential for this to work. We know these shells can be just devastating performers. We've seen it several times, but the shells have been a little picky with certain chokes, and I don't think we can pin it all on the shells here with today's choke either. It's a flush full, or maybe quote unquote more like an extra full choke. We know that that choke is probably not going to perform nearly as good as a higher end, more dedicated turkey choke would, so we can't be terribly surprised here. I think this is realistic, all things considered. I was hoping for better for sure, but it's not entirely surprising. So nothing much more to say here as far as this one goes. You kind of see it right there. It would work fine for waterfowl purposes, but even then, if I'm running this full choke with these shells for waterfowl, I still have decent voids over there off the left as well that I don't love to see. So kind of right there on the fence. 20, 25, 30 yards or so, absolutely. That's going to be a nice pretty pattern to work with for turkeys, no question about it. The farther we get, the more we open up and more bigger voids we get with this combo. So we had some potential, but this is why we test different things, because sometimes they can surprise you, which this choke absolutely has before, or sometimes just doesn't quite work out as well as what you might hope it would, which that's kind of what we saw here. It's okay within the 10-inch ring, but that's probably about it in my personal opinion. And here's our wad from that shell. Pretty typical Epic stuff here. It looks perfectly fine overall. You got your little fiber peaks down in there, but no pellets or anything like that. No major damage. Everything looks very much normal for these. Even though that choke is a 517, it's just really, really short, and trying to put that long of a shot column through a really short choke probably contributed to why we didn't really see anything overly impressive for a pattern. But the wad itself did what it was supposed to do, so nothing I'm concerned with here. All right, y'all. Well, what did you think about that result right there? I think we pretty well covered it. If you look just within the 10 and maybe 20-inch rings there, it's a perfectly adequate turkey pattern. The turkey is never going to make it through that swarm of pellets out to 40 yards, so it is definitely good enough to do the job. However, the rest of the pattern definitely doesn't help it. Coming into it, I thought we had a decent chance here. We know what those shells can do. This choke has surprised us before. We've got the constriction to be able to do it. It was just a matter of if the shells were going to like that particular choke or not, and I don't think they do. Definitely not on the shells. We know what these are capable of, and this choke definitely has performed better with other shells as well. So just not the perfect match between everything here today. But that's why you test different things, because sometimes you're going to be surprised at how good something is that you don't really expect to work out. Sometimes you'll be a little disappointed or maybe have higher hopes that don't really get met. But leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these 28 gauge Epic loads? And if so, what kind of results have you seen? Is this a pattern or combo you would ever turkey hunt with? Or is it just a little bit too broad and all over the place for you? And maybe what other shells might you want to see us put through that 517 full and see what happens? Got several others that I want to try through it. I'm sure we can find something that it really likes. We already know the Winchesters do well through it. So are there any other shells that you might want to see us run through it? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, you have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it. But I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see you all in the next one.